How are you at believing your way through your daily life? Now, probably I'm thinking about 3.5 years ago, I probably would have thought, what the hell is she talking about now? Probably thought that a lot towards myself over the years, actually. Because I hadn't come across the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton, Dr. Joe Dispenza, Lynn McTaggart, or there's other people as well who I now can't remember. That's okay. I just hadn't come across their work because I was deeply buried in studying and reading about how our earliest experience in life, particularly any level of trauma that we've had, affect the way that our brain operates, and to a degree how our body was involved in that as well, and how that all kind of feeds into our internal chemistry, so our internal hormones that are coursing around us and the different chemicals in our body. So I'd kind of got that far on my journey of understanding how what happens early on has a massive impact on how we carry ourselves through life and how we react to some things and we don't react to other things, why we get physically and mentally sick, how it interweaves into our relationships, and and of course parenting, when we become parents, that all the stuff that we experienced when we were young children is definitely going to show up when we become a parent. So I've kind of been on this ginormous journey for about 18 years, and then came across the work of Dr. Melanie Salmon, who created this technique called quantum energy coaching, which is the technique that I use with all my clients, because I was looking for a thing that's going to really be permanent. Because I was realizing that, understanding, talking, rationalizing, having strategies, having tools, yes, it's kind of useful, but it's not very powerful. It's just useful, and it can help, and certainly some of it helped me, but it never really got rid of my deep down beliefs. And then, ta-da, I got introduced to Melanie's work. And the first thing we got told to do when I was preparing for the training with her was to read the biology of belief. Whoa, OMG. It was such a game changer for me. It was like it wasn't an easy read, because some of the science in it is pretty technical, because it's cellular biology, not a thing that I'm really familiar with, and quantum physics, also not something I'm desperately familiar with. But, it doesn't really matter how much that I understood the deep science of it. It completely made sense. And, what I've kind of always carried forward from then, because I see it again in my own life, like insanely clearly, but also when I work with people, is what we believe creates our life. Now that sounds like a pretty kick-ass statement to be making on a Wednesday morning, but when you look at the science, it makes sense. And when you look at life, it more than makes sense. That, so the way I kind of, once I really got into this, I was like, I'm going to test this out in different ways, because it does scientifically make sense, but now I sort of need some evidence. So I would test out holding a really strong, very clear belief about something simple, like getting a parking space. So I was like, if it works on a parking space, then I can see the real thing. So I would just do it every time in the olden days when I was driving somewhere. I would just, on the way there, driving there, believe, even though it was completely against the odds in many situations, that when I got there would always be a parking space. And if there wasn't one as soon as I got there, one would always appear. So I was like, okay. Then I decided again to test it out by creating a very strong belief that the busy road I need to cross every day, twice a day, to go for my daily walk, I would always easily cross this road. So on the way down to the road every day, I just hold this belief, and it can be jam-packed with traffic, and sometimes I might have to stand there for a minute or two just holding the belief. Boom, the traffic parts like the seas parting, and over I go. So that was kind of how I played with all of this in the beginning, but now I don't need any convincing, because my whole life has changed, but my whole way of how I experience life has changed. So I think that's the biggest difference, that we may or may not be able to change the stuff that's going on around us, although actually if you read all these books and you really study these people's works, you realise that if we all, or enough of us, came together and held a massively strong belief about COVID going away, it actually flipping would. So why I'm talking to you about all of this is just to maybe offer you this little gem of getting curious about how can you use this, because honestly it's like a super big secret that most people don't seem to know, is that when you really, really, really want something to happen, and it can take a lot of work, but you may as well just have one clear belief about it and keep on repeating it. Now, one of the wonderful things is it stops you then repeating the sabotaging belief or the scary belief or the negative belief. So as soon as you start, believing, oh, I might catch COVID and I might die, hopefully you're not believing that, but many people are deep down. I sometimes I work with people and they say, oh, I'm not scared about it at all, and then we do a session on it, and their subconscious, so below their intelligent brain, is definitely believing it. So there's all sorts of sneaky, very hidden, deep core beliefs we have that we don't intellectually recognise, and we say, no, I'm fine, I believe that blah blah blah. But if you're believing from here rather than from your ginormous powerhouse of a subconscious mind, it won't really work. So belief is something that you can just tap into in any moment, any part of your life, any area of any part of you, and it's always going to be stronger and more powerful than hoping or being falsely positive. Oh, I'm sure it's all going to be fine soon. Or I just really hope. I mean, those are not bad things to do, but what you're leaving behind on the shelf is this kick-ass powerhouse called belief. So just have some fun with it. Get curious with it. Maybe listen to yourself a bit more about the repetitive things that just pop in when you maybe see something in the news or somebody WhatsApp messages you. Boom, what's the belief that jumps in? Because if it's a really negative one that's going to harm you and potentially harm other people, then, I would want to immediately take a breath and replace that with something very simple, I quite often just will say to myself, if I can feel a bit wobbly on the inside, I am safe. So saying I am safe to myself releases lots of lovely, calm, supporting chemicals inside my body, so that my body now feels safe, so my brain feels safe. Because who knows whether I'm safe or not, but if every part of me believes I am safe, then I will feel safe. So something I did recently for someone I was working with was just give them a little thing that they can say to themselves. I am safe, you are safe, we are safe. Because one of their children is having a really big, understandable wobble at the moment. So when the parent says it to themselves really slowly and really intentionally in that way, then they create this lovely energy that kind of wraps around their child as well. So maybe give that a go and let me know any beliefs that you've managed to upgrade and change and how that's feeling for you. Take care of your wonderful selves. Bye-bye.